Before I start this one, I wanted to give a very quick content warning, as the virus being explored in this video is used in the Star Wars horror book Death Troopers, and it can be incredibly graphic at times. If you have any aversion to horror content, I would recommend watching another one of our videos instead. With that out of the way, let's get right into it. As Echo continues to try and secretly rally clones on Tantus to his cause, hoping to kickstart a revolution that will liberate his clone brothers from this place forever, he can't help but have nightmares of the strange infection that he had seen consume his former cellmate. He tosses and turns, screaming in his sleep for him to leave, for the infection to leave his mind. No, not again, Echo murmurs in his sleep as he writhes. No! He sees himself being consumed by the virus, losing control of himself and experiencing the decay that his last cellmate had before he'd been dragged out of the room. His eyes go dark and his skin begins to rot from his face as he slowly loses his sanity and drifts further into the contamination of the Black Wing virus. No! Echo screams as he jolts awake, panting. It had only been a dream. Echo starts to roll over again, contemplating his dream and feeling his gut churn with disgust. Surely he wouldn't be infected by this virus. It was self-contained. The Imperials had control of it. Right? Then, Echo's heart sinks even further. He hears a low blare of a siren ringing throughout the facility. Footsteps thud across the metallic floor outside of his cell. He hears an announcement coming through the speakers from the steely voice of Dr. Hemlock himself. Cell block compromised. Evacuate all subjects immediately. When Echo's door opens and he sees Commander Scorch alongside two other clone commandos who toss him a hazmat suit, Echo's stomach drops again. His nightmare was becoming reality. If you've been wondering what happened to Echo after he sacrificed himself on Tantus for his brothers with the Bad Batch to escape with Cody, then you're in luck. Today's video picks up right where the last one left off, and it's time for another wild ride. So grab your big bowl of bantha stew and a glass of blue milk before sitting down for this one, because this is What If the Bad Batch Had Executed Order 66, Chapter 2, The Virus. As Cody and the Bad Batch blast off together, headed to death, they end up going to meet Rex, Hauser, Fireball, and many of the other clone deserters as they land on the surface, seeing that same old facility that Rex, the 501st, Anakin, and Ahsoka had rescued Rada the Hutt from all those years ago. While they're traveling, the Bad Batch begins to inquire with Cody, asking about his story. Cody smiles. Well, that's quite the crazy adventure, he says. I remember back in the day with the Republic. I was fighting for something I believed in. I was helping kids, helping families, helping soldiers, things like that. But I went to this planet and the Empire, the governors, they gave me orders. They told me to slaughter innocents for simply expressing some slight disagreement with the Empire and Imperial rule. I remember I had to fire my gun in the face of a man who simply wanted the best for his people, something that I thought the Republic was all about. When I started questioning my new superiors, they treated me like garbage. I seemed like an inferior being to them. They didn't listen to me. It wasn't like the Jedi. It wasn't like General Kenobi. No, they treated me like a product. Yeah, we know that one, Hunter says. But you know what? Finally, I got fed up. I refused to follow the orders of one of the new Imperial officers. I don't even remember his name. Told me to shoot some kids. Kids! On some backwater planet. It didn't even really matter to the Imperial war effort. But as a result, I was punished. He stunned me unexpectedly and sent me to Tantus. And I got experimented on by Hemlock and those goons. That's when I met you. I didn't think I'd ever see you guys again. I'm so happy that I did. Oh, we're gonna do great things together, boys. Just like the good old days, Cody says. Yeah! Wrecker exclaims, punching his fist in the air. I'm ready to blow some stuff up! Oh, I bet you are, Wrecker. And we're gonna blow so much stuff up when it comes to the Empire. I'm looking forward to working with you boys. So, you boys ready to work with Commander Rex again? Ah, he got a promotion, did he? Hunter replies to Cody. Oh yeah, he did. End of the Clone Wars. Commander Rex, leading the Torrent Company alongside Citizen Ahsoka Tano. I'm so proud of him, Cody says. Hunter and the batch look ready to go. I'm absolutely ready to see the good captain again. Sorry, Commander. Hunter corrects himself. This was going to be the reunion of the century for these clones. Meanwhile, on Tantus, Echo is shoved into his new cell block by Scorch, and he finds a new and very interesting cellmate. Hey, what's your name? Echo asks curiously. The cellmate looks up at him. Name's Blitz. How about you? He replies. I'm Echo, he says. Oh, Echo, I've heard about you. You're that 501st clone, right? The one from, what was that planet? The Citadel, yeah, I remember now. I heard you went out in Blaze of Glory. I thought you were gone. No, I'm still here, Echo says. They tried to take me out, but they couldn't. Those seppies, they took me and put me in some lab, experimented on me for years. Bad Batch picked me up, and it was right as rain again. I felt like I fit in once again, even though I was so weird and deformed. According to the regs, anyway. I know Rex would have taken me back. Of course he would have, but I felt that it was more my place to be with the Bad Batch, he said. I ended up sacrificing myself so that they could get away. Now, I'm back in Hemlock's clutches. Time for some more experimentation, I guess. There's a moment of silence between the two as they both digest what Echo had just said. He was back in the clutches of an experimenter who wanted nothing more than to exploit whatever he could from this robot cyborg clone. Echo hoped that he wouldn't be here for very long, and he still has that strange virus on his mind. In a lighter tone, though, Echo picks up the conversation and starts a new train of thought. So, why do they call you Blitz? Echo says. Blitz smiles back. Oh, here's a little inside joke that I had with my buddies. When I first got out there, I was a little too, how should we say, eager of a troop. We went out there and we were told not to attack and to wait, but I saw the droids coming, I saw the clankers a-marching, and I just wanted to go at them. So I pulled out my heavy weaponry, and I started firing as fast as I could, even though it was technically against orders. They called me Blitz after that because, well, Blitzkrieg, I took those droids by surprise with a ton of force, he says. Yeah, my Jedi General was not exactly happy, but he liked my spirit, so I didn't get in any trouble. Who's your general? Echo asks. Oh, I was in the 212th with General Kenobi, he said. That guy, he's got more of a sense of humor than you think he does, he says. Echo smiles. Oh, yes. Well, I worked with General Skywalker, so I know a thing or two about Kenobi. They always worked together. It was always fun. The good old days, he said. Blitz looks back at him. Yeah, the good old days, he replies. Now, it just feels like we don't have a purpose, you know? He says. And it feels like they treat us like objects here. Echo nods grimly. Yeah, I agree. Something's fishy about this place. Do you know what they're doing here? Blitz shakes his head. Nah, I just know they take samples of my blood and have me go do various lab things, and I don't know what the scientific mumbo-jumbo is that they're doing to me, but I don't like it. Echo looks at him. Yeah, there's something strange that happened in my last room. That's why they moved me here. There was some virus or something just absolutely took the juice out of this clone like I'd never seen before. Basically turned him into a zombie. The commandos had to come in and put him down like he was a dog, Echo says. Really? Blitz replies. Yeah, it was pretty messed up and disturbing. But, I'd keep my eye out if I were you. I want to know more about what's going on here. Echo says. Blitz nods. Yeah, I agree. Something's not right about this place. In that moment, Echo and Blitz shake hands, and they agree that they're both tired, and that they would sleep on this to try and figure out more. But one thing was for sure, Echo had made a fast friend, and soon, hopefully, the two of them could figure out more about what exactly was transpiring at this cursed facility. When the Bad Batch arrives with Cody on Teth, He introduces them to Rex. "Hey boys, I remember serving with you. Battle of Anaxes, right?" Rex says, shaking all of their hands. "Yes, sir," Hunter replies, giving his old friend a big, warm embrace. Wrecker comes and hugs all of the clones as well, embracing them politely. "Yeah, we may have been rags and the bad batch in the day, but now I think we can all get along," Rex says. "We're all on the same team now." Crosshair, looking at the rags with disdain, takes his toothpick out of his mouth. "Yeah, sure. But I'm not going to forget all of the times that all of you rags looked down upon us," he says. "Hey, we're all on the same team now. You can quiet that nonsense down," Hunter says. "These are our brothers, and they're welcoming us here. Let's show them some hospitality as well." Crosshair rolls his eyes. "All right, whatever you say, boss," he says. Hunter then recounts how they had discovered Tantus and what was happening there. He also tells them all about how Tarkin had given them straight to Hemlock as subjects to be tested, and he was wondering what could have gone on further. "What? They're keeping our clone brothers in some facility?" Rex exclaims, frustrated, banging his hand on the table. "We have to liberate those brothers. We need to go there and get them out." Hauser nods. "I agree." So do all of the other ones at the table. "I'm ready to join you guys too," Cody says. "I was tired of that place. It was awful. And I don't want to see my brothers in arms looking like that," Cody says. "So, how do we get in?" Rex says. "Well, we don't know much about Tantus," Hunter recounts. "And I don't have the layout anywhere. Echo might, but he's trapped in there," he says. "Oh, as long as I get to blow something up, I'll be happy," Wrecker exclaims. Tech hushes him. "You probably won't be blowing anything up on a stealth mission, Wrecker," he says. They're stumped, and for a moment, all of the clones continue to pontificate on the answer to their question. But then, the batch comes up with an answer. "Hey, you think Admiral Tarkin might know?" Hunter asks. Cody and Rex look at each other. "Yeah, they might. He might. But how are we going to get in there?" Rex says, "He's the mastermind of the entire Imperial military. It's going to be a tough sell to try and get some of his information." "Well, we'll just have to go back to Coruscant," Hunter says. "Yeah, going back to Coruscant. Man, I haven't been there in years," Rex says. "I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully we can show that Farrakher who's boss." Rex finishes. Everybody is ready to go. The Bad Batch, along with this group of clones, now started to plan how they would get the plans that were on Coruscant in that giant military garrison. This was where the fun would begin for the clones. While this is happening on Teth, Echo continues to poke around on Tantus. He's forced to endure the poking and prodding from scientists trying to figure out what the Separatists did to him to quote-unquote upgrade him and implement that in other soldiers. One day, as Echo is being experimented on by Emery, who's one of the kinder scientists working on Tantus and who doesn't actually bar him to a table or a chair, he manages to secretly sneak to one of the terminals as she goes away for a break to access information about the virus project that he had been thinking of. He Googles everything that he can, or not Googles, because in this galaxy Google doesn't exist, but he looks up everything that he can about the secret files that he could see related to viruses, and he tries to find them, but he can't find out very much info before Emery returns to the room, and he's forced to sit back on the table. What he does pick up, though, is that the Empire is using clones to experiment with some disgusting bioweapon that is far beyond acceptable for use. Imagine if they were doing this on the clones, what they could do to the galaxy at large. Even leaking this info to the galaxy would be huge. Echo keeps this in his mind as he continues to speak with Emery about the morality of what the Empire is doing on Tantus. "Do you really believe in everything you're doing here, Emery?" he asks. "You're a clone, like us. Can't you see that what you're doing is just immoral? Experimenting on us, poking and prodding? I know you're a kind heart. Why do you keep doing this? Emery looks back at him. Well, I see you, Echo. I understand what you're saying. However, I believe that this is for the greater good of the galaxy, and that these advancements will help many other people. You are helping to give back to the Empire, Echo, she says. I don't want to give back to the Empire. They've taken everything from me. My brothers, my friends, my humanity. No, why would I want to do that? He says. This isn't the way to go. This is immoral, and you know that, Emery. You know that as well as I do. After Dr. Hemlock's experimentation with the Bad Batch in the last episode, he decides to begin executing his plan for ultimately bringing them down as well. He had screwed with their inhibitor chips and made them into monsters that would indeed work for him. He also wants to bring down all of the other dissident clones that have rebelled against the Empire. So, as he sees the Bad Batch going to Teth, he starts to execute his secret plan, smiling the entire way. Soon, all of these foolish clones would be gone, and he would be the one in control. As the clones are loading the stuff onto their ships for the trip to Coruscant that they're about to make, Rex decides to ask Hunter a pointed question that he realized he had forgotten about at this moment. Oh, yeah, right. Hunter, I just realized something, Rex asks. Did you guys take out your inhibitor chips? Hunter looks at him a little bit confused. No, why do you ask? He says. Rex gives him a glare. What, you really didn't know? No, is there an issue with them? Hunter asks. Rex's eyes widen before he looks over at Hauser, stunned. They both look Hunter directly in the eyes. We gotta get your ships out immediately, he says. That is an issue. You know that they're the reason that we turned on the Jedi, right? Hunter looks back at him. What? No, I didn't think so. I thought the Jedi were traitors, he said. Rex shakes his head. No, it was those chips, and they made you do it involuntarily. We have to get them out, now. As Hunter starts to question Rex a little more on this, he suddenly feels a massive pain in his head, and he reaches for it with his hand. Oh, I don't feel so good, he says. Then, with his other hand, he reaches for his blaster involuntarily. The pain was exactly the one like Hemlock had been experimenting on them before. He notices all of the other members of the Bad Batch reaching for their weapons too. What's going on? Rex asks, but the Bad Batch can't control themselves. Hunter's face contorts as he says the notorious "good soldiers follow orders" line, and his eyes glaze over. Then he charges towards Rex, calling him a traitor against the Empire. Traitor! He yells. Cody looks at them in shock. Meanwhile, on Tantus, Echo and his cellmate Blitz continue to have their conversations about what's going on. He asks him if he knew what was going on with the virus. Blitz says no, but then when Echo details about what he had seen while he was talking to Emery and when she had left the room, Blitz is flabbergasted. His eyes go wide. That's not something they should be doing, he says. That's disgusting, terrible, unnatural, and on our brothers, too, he says. Yeah, Echo says. I think we need to do something, Blitz. What were you thinking? I'm all in, he says. I think we need to get a little revolution going so we can get out of here, he says. Blitz nods vivaciously in agreement. Yeah, I think so too. I'll talk to some of the other boys. Then we'll figure something out, he says. Meanwhile, back on Teth, Rex, Hauser, and the other clones are forced to fight the encroaching Bad Batch, who still have no control over themselves. I guess it was a bad idea to bring these guys on board, Hauser remarks, as he fires a shot in the direction of Wrecker. No, it wasn't their fault. Stop it, Hauser, Rex says, diving for cover as Tech shoots with his pistols at him. They didn't know about the inhibitor chips. Cody, after the initial moment of shocks, dives behind the same cover. I'm sorry, Rex. I didn't know. Oh, it's not your fault, Cody, they both say, popping up to fire back at the Bad Batch, but they're firing on stun because they don't want to harm the clones because they didn't know what they're doing. Keep using stun, boys. We'll take out their chips when they're asleep, he says. All of the clones end up obliging, even after some grumbles from a few who don't believe that the Bad Batch are truly reformed yet and are still loyal to the Empire. All of the Bad Batch use their special abilities to target the Regs. Tech hacks some old service droids and turns them against them. Wrecker ends up blowing stuff up, throwing thermal detonators everywhere and laughing the whole time. Yeah, I got to blow stuff up, he yells. Crosshair does his signature toss and shoot move with the deflection plates and hits a couple of clones in the back. Bullseye, he says. Eventually, Rex, Cody, and Hauser manage to start overpowering the Bad Batch, even as Hunter is able to use the magnetic fields and his combat knowledge to sense when he's being attacked. Kind of like a Force sensitive, but not quite. They manage to overpower the Bad Batch and stun each and every one of them, as all of them are against a larger group of clones. Hunter, the leader, is the last one to fall to the ground, keeping more vigilant than the others, as the effective troop commander that he is. When he falls, Rex then immediately orders that his troops come to remove the inhibitor chips, and the rest of the clone defectors end up following suit. Again, Rex, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that Hemlock had screwed with their brains. I didn't even know they still had their chips in, Cody said. Once again, Rex puts his hand on Cody's shoulder. It's okay, brother. Don't worry about it. They're safer now, and so are we. While this is all going on, Echo is still on Tantus, and his roommate tells him that more and more clones are rallying to their cause. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are fed up in here, Blitz says. Echo nods. Good, I'm glad to hear it. The boys and I are getting out. You're included in there. I can't wait to escape. I've been here for too long, seen too many things already. I don't want to live this life anymore, he says. Keep spreading the word, Blitz. I'm sadly usually pretty solitary when it comes to the experiments they do on me. But I think that if we all rise up against our captors tomorrow for one last shot at freedom, at exactly 1200 hours, we'll be good. If the troops are able, willing, and ready, everything should go smoothly. What do you say, Blitz? I think we can make our escape. Blitz smiles. Absolutely. I agree with you, Echo. Let's do this. For the boys. For the troops. For the Republic, he says. Hopefully, Echo's plan would work out, and he smiles as he goes to bed, knowing that the next day it would be time for him and his friends to finally escape this place. The next day, everything seems to be going exactly as every other day did. Echo is being experimented on by Hemlock himself, however, this day, and he continues to say nothing to the doctor as a silent act of rebellion, even though Hemlock pokes and prods him and tries to get answers out of him, and is being his typical conversationalist, scientist self. However, Echo starts to be taunted by Hemlock. Echo, you really think I didn't know about what you were doing behind closed doors? This perks Echo up a little bit. What do you mean, Hemlock? He says. You really think that I didn't know about your little clone insurrection? He says, brandishing one of his tools. How did you think that I, the one who is in charge of this entire facility, wouldn't catch word of it, wouldn't hear of it at the dining hall, wouldn't catch it on the cameras, wouldn't hear it from my clone commandos? You traitors deserve everything that's coming for you. What do you mean, Hemlock? I don't have any rebellion planned. Hemlock smiles and turns to face Echo. Oh, don't you? At 1200 hours today? How could you have thought that my commandos and I would be fooled by some defective reg? He smiles in a twisted, disgusting fashion. I have something I want to show you, Echo. What's that? He asks. I know that you accessed the terminal when Emery was gone. I know it was you. There was only 2 people in that room. You are the only one who has the device literally in your hand to be able to do that. And I saw the security tapes of her leaving, and then conveniently being shut down for another 2 minutes. I saw what that person saw about Blackwing, and I know that that person is you. He then turns to Echo. Watch this on my screen, he says, moving a screen towards the poor clone. See what consequences your actions have against your fellow clones, especially against the Empire. Echo watches and sees clones from all over the facility being rounded up by Scorch and other commandos, along with TK troopers, before being brought into one large room. What do you have planned, Hemlock? Hemlock smiles even more dementedly. You are going to experience the full might of Imperial biotechnology, but not firsthand. No. You're going to watch as those troopers do. Echo's stomach drops. Don't you dare, he says to Hemlock. No, they're more of men than you'll ever be. You're disgusting. You're demented. Hemlock smiles. The clones were always meant to be disposable. You're nothing more than property. And now, I'm going to prove that to you. Especially your little group of bizarre misfits. You are defective. You aren't even effective enough to be Regs. He then smiles, continuing to contort his face. Don't do this, Echo says. Echo begins to watch in horror as the clones are placed in the large room with dim lighting. Hemlock's wicked smile grows wider as they all continue to convene in the center, not knowing what's about to happen. They look around, confused, asking each other if they know what's going on, and none of them do. Punish me instead, Hemlock. This is my doing, not theirs, he says. That's when Echo sees some of the distinct tattoos of Blitz in the crowd, his second roommate. No, you can't punish him for my actions, Echo says. Don't do this, Hemlock. Hemlock smiles again. No, I think I will. This will be a far better method to ensure your compliance, Echo. There's an audible hissing noise that can be heard through the camera's microphone, and all of the troops look around, confused. Echo watches in horror as they all inhale the air with no helmets, and they wonder what kind of experiment this is. Hemlock forces Echo to watch for hours as they gradually become more and more sick before devolving into the zombies that he had seen the Blackwing virus create. No! No! Echo yells. He tries to shut his eyes, but whenever he does, Hemlock forces them open, and he can't do anything about it because his hands are bound to the table. No, you will watch, Hemlock says, and you will know what happens when you disobey the Empire. Your actions have consequences, and you will comply. Echo watches his brothers die horrible, disgusting, unhonorable deaths, and he is distraught. At the end of the day, Hemlock sends Echo back to his cell, alone. He can't sleep, but he can't cry either. He feels numb. He crawls into bed, not truly understanding the full gravity of his situation nor his actions. Maybe, after years, the Empire had finally figured out a way to break him. Maybe Echo was finally done. Meanwhile, after the Bad Batch is operated on, Rex and Cody brief them on the situation. Oh, I'm so sorry, Hunter says. I didn't know that Hemlock was doing that to us. I had no idea. Don't worry about it, Rex says. You and the inhibited chips, you didn't have any control. I get it, he says. We both succumbed to the power of the chip as well, Cody continues. I killed, or thought I killed, General Kenobi, and Rex here fired at Commander Tano. It's okay. We understand. Rex then smiles. Well, how are those heads feeling now? he says. You ready to go to Coruscant? You ready to find out where Tantus is? You ready to free our brothers, even though you might be hurting a little right now? Hunter then looks at Rex ferociously. Not a hint of humor in his eyes. I'm feeling good enough to go. The Empire's done enough damage. When can we get to work? Hey there folks, thanks for coming and watching another video. Today, I actually have the pleasure of having one of my favorite clones ever on the show today. And it was really hard to get him to come and visit because he's a busy guy. But I'm glad that he came out, and I'm glad that he came to say hello. Today, friends, I have Commander Cody on the show. Hey there, Cody, how's it going? Oh, it's going wonderfully. Thanks for asking. I love being here. I love your content, and I am so stoked to finally interview the Bantha Stew. It was such a pleasure to have you reach out. Oh, of course. Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate it, Cody. You know, you were always my second favorite clone when I was younger and was watching the Clone Wars. Oh, yeah. Let me guess. Rex was your first pick. Oh, yeah. How did you know? Oh, I get that all the time. Rex, for some reason, always loved the guy, but he got so much press during the Clone Wars. It's probably because he was working with General Skywalker, and, well, the galaxy loved General Skywalker. Oh, yeah? Yeah, probably. I don't know, man, but I always loved it when people would come up to me when I was younger, and those kids would say that I was their favorite clone soldier, and that they wanted to be just like me when they grew up. Yeah, I know the feeling, man. I used to help out with some of the kids at martial arts and with my taekwondo school, and whenever that they were just young and they'd look up to me, it always felt so nice. And at my school this year too, I've got a little bit of a leadership position, and honestly, a lot of the values that I learned from watching the Clone Wars still help guide me today when I'm doing leadership tasks, when I'm in charge of people, and just living day-to-day life. Yeah, I remember those propo pieces that they put together for the Republic. Oh, so brilliant. And that Dave Filoni guy, oh, his lessons were always so critical at the beginning of those episodes. I watched a few of them. I was busy fighting for most of the war, but I absolutely love the ones that they came out with. And I gotta say, I gotta give it to them, I can see why Rex was a lot of people's favorite clones. Yeah, like, I loved the Umbara arc growing up, and now, as I get older and grow in my career path and the life that I'm taking, I can really understand those clones a little bit more, and I understand the choices they made, and I understand them at a deeper level. It was the same with Domino Squad. I always loved the Domino Squad arc back in season 3 because I loved watching them train. I loved watching them grow up together, the brotherhood that they had. And now looking back as somebody who's older and has had more experience, I can empathize even more with those clones. Yeah, our training's pretty arduous on Camino. I still can't believe that the Republic put together an army of essentially child soldiers, but we all believed in what we were fighting for. We knew what was coming when we signed up. Well, we didn't sign up, but you know what I mean. When we went out to fight, we all knew the possibility that we could die, but every last clone that I've served with has wanted to be a member of the Republic and fight for what we believe in. Absolutely, Cody, and that's one of the things that I admire most about you. I also admire the fact that you served with General Kenobi, who's another one of my favorite Jedi, and he was an absolute pleasure to watch during the war. I could really tell that he cared about his troops. Yeah, General Kenobi, man, he was a pleasure to serve under. I absolutely loved him. It's a shame that, well, I do regret my actions with Order 66, and I think that perhaps the Empire might have had the wrong idea, as was evidenced by my arc in the Bad Batch, where I left, but looking back, man, General Kenobi, I hope I can see him again one day and apologize, because I didn't see what the Empire was planning, and I had no control over my actions. Oh, I know that, Cody, and I'm sure that Obi-Wan understands and would be willing to at least sit down and have a conversation with you. Speaking of Obi-Wan, did you watch the Kenobi show? Oh, I watched the Kenobi show, of course. And what did you think of it? Well, it seemed to me very interesting. I was kind of expecting that I would be a guest star in the show, but I didn't show up. I thought maybe I would go out in a blaze of glory protecting the Jedi General that I served with and ended up betraying and had to earn his trust back. But sadly, that wasn't the storyline that they went with. I liked the show, though. It wasn't bad. I thought that it did the character of Obi-Wan justice, but there were parts of it that I didn't like as well. Oh yeah? Like what? Well, I didn't particularly like that Inquisitor girl. What was her name? Reva. Those Inquisitors just always rub me the wrong way. They make me feel uneasy that they were so quick to betray the Republic like they did. Yeah, I can vibe with that. I didn't love Reva either. I also thought that the story with, Princess Leia was a little ridiculous, especially how she escaped from those seasoned bounty hunters. Come on, a child escaping from, 4 or 5 bounty hunters running through the forest? Come on, that's absurd. Yeah, I'll agree with you there too, Cody. I could do better than that. I bet that I could have hunted her down if I had had the chance to, but again, I don't really want to because I'm no big fan of the Empire and what they were doing. No, that's understandable. I can see what your perspective is there, and I gotta say, I agree with you, Cody. It seems like we got a lot in common. Oh, I think so too. I'm looking forward to chatting more with you. I hope that you have me on the show again. I know we're kind of running out of time. These are just short little interviews at the end of your videos, but I love being here, and I love chatting with you. Oh, absolutely, Cody. I loved chatting with you too. I love chatting with you so much, in fact, that I'll even let you say the outro if you'd like. Oh, what? Really? Are you sure, Mr. Panther? Of course, Cody. Go ahead, say the intro whenever you feel ready. All right, you mean the outro, right? Oh, yes, sorry, outro. I just got my words mixed up there. Oh, no problem. It happens to all of us. Yeah, I'll say the outro. Sure, why not? Well, thank you all for watching today's episode of Bantha Stew. If you enjoyed, I would recommend that you comment down below what you liked, what you didn't like, and whether or not you'd like to see a part 2. If you would like to see a part 2, what do you think would happen? I want to hear all of your thoughts down below, and I, Commander Cody, will be reading through. In addition, if you want a community of like-minded Star Wars fans, I would really recommend joining Bantha Stew's Discord over here. He's got fans from across the galaxy and across the various timelines. I've even seen Lord Vitiate in there, I've seen Darth Sidious in there, Boss Nass is in that server, so I would highly recommend that you go and join it. Can I say the end as well? Well, of course, Cody. Go ahead. I said you could say the whole outro. Yeah, but I know that that's your line. Well, feel free. I have so much respect for you. All right, I'll say it then. I hope that each and every one of you have had an absolutely bantha-tacular day. And, as always, I hope that you've gotten your daily delicious dose of Bantha Stew.